Welcome back to an exceptional 3D video. I'm now talking about the Big Bang game engine. Now this is a game engine that is essentially like Roblox, like ability to play a bunch of games on the platform. It's all completely free and it's all web based. So anything you want to play you can do that. And this is a game I made just in a couple of minutes. It was super easy, and as you can see, if I go into the editor, I have access to all a bunch of things. We have templates with default things that we can add into our game. We have scripts and things that are very easy to just drag and drop onto different elements in your scene, and it'll automatically add them to it. And we can delete it as well. So we have a bunch of stuff that we can do, loads and loads of things. Right here, by default, we have our player character. This is your custom model. This is my custom model for your character, who you can add into all these different games that you can play. If we go back to the Big Bang homepage, you can see we get access to the social hub, which is where you get access to your main landing zone, I guess, for where you can get access to a bunch of official games. We also have access to them here. We have all the big games made by the Big Bang developers. Then if you go down here, you can see we have access to a bunch of community things. Now, Big Bang allows you to create voxel objects directly in your web browser, and these objects are what you can use to import into your world. Currently, there is no support for exterior imports and exports, but that will become a thing later on. If I go to the features, you can see a lot of people have been playing around and just creating their own little worlds and voxel characters and objects. So we can actually use all of these in our own games. As soon as someone's created an object and made it public, and by default the object is public, anybody can use it and drag and drop it into their game. So if we go back up to the top and I click on my profile and get access to all the things that I've made, you can see down here is the game that we were in. Leap of Faith. Like I said, all this is completely in your web browser, so whether you want to play the games, you don't even need an account for that. You can just jump in and play as a guest, or whether you want to create your own games, it all happens within the web browser, and it's all completely free. So let's talk about this for a little second. So I have a game here where you can jump on these objects, and you have to pick which ones you can jump on and which ones you shouldn't jump on. And as you can see, I'm doing pretty good here until I die. And there are a lot of objects, so let's talk about how to actually make this type of game. So let's go back over here, and you can see we have everything set up. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead to these objects, and over here you can actually change the object because we have a bunch of property. We have the entity. Here is the entity's name and different tags. I have a tag here to avoid any problems with the camera glitching, but normally you wouldn't need any tags specifically until you get into more advanced things. You have the transform, both the local and the world in the 3D environment that we're in now. And we also have the ability to add collision. So right now we're using the voxel object collision. So it uses the different voxels, as you can see here, is different shapes to the voxels. So it's using that to determine the physics. But you can also abbreviate it with a box. And in this case, it's already a box-like object. So it's pretty easy to add any sort of collision to. But if we go to over here and grab one of these objects and put them on this platform, then you can see, for example, that this guy, we can add a voxel object collider to it, and it's going to create an approximate collision based on that voxel's very specific geometry. Maybe this jet will be better. So you can see we are standing on the approximate voxel surface where the object would be, and now I'm standing on this player here. So they're pretty good physics, but it's not 100% accurate, because if it was, then your computer would have to do a lot more effort. But this is all run on your web browser, so efficiency is key here. So once we have our physics set up, we need a way to be able to not fall through. So for example, we can actually go into different camera views. If I go into this aeroplane mode here, I can actually use the WSD keys to fly around the scene outside of the camera. You can see that is the camera. or we can use the rotate thing, so I can rotate and pan around the scene. As you see here, it's very useful for inspecting objects, but to navigate it's best to use the fly camera. We can select our object, and you can see here we have a script that is deactivated, and this script is a custom thing that I made really simple. What it does is it has a trigger event that is triggering something, and it's spitting out a random bunch of gobbledygook to as the name. It gets the name of the object and spits out this random stuff. We don't actually need any of this. We can just get rid of it all. That was just for me to make sure the collisions were working. And now we're getting a render, the render settings of the component object, and we're setting the render settings to a different color, color value. So what we're going to do is activate that. And now when we play the game, if we go back into camera view, when we play the game, I activate it, so when the collision trigger is happened, we're actually changing the color. As you can see here, we're changing the emissive to be this color value. So why would this be interesting? Well, this is very interesting. For example, if I fall here, it adds the color value, and it means don't go there, as if that area is off bounds. I could do the other way around and only add that color to objects where you should stand on them, but I think in my experience it probably is better to do the way that I did it here. So we can go ahead and uncheck this box, and you can see it puts a line through this custom script, and that means if we stop and restart this game, that means when I go ahead and jump on this platform again, we have nothing happening. Well, I mean, we have physics and we're standing upright. That's good. However, here, how come we are falling through? This also has physics set to voxel, just like this object, except, well, I mean, we changed it, but we can set it back to voxel. We both have physics. Why is this one solid and this one makes our player fall through? Well, that's because of the response type down here. This one is set to trigger, and this one is static. So what it means is this one is a surface, and this one over here is going to trigger a response. It means it's going to register that there has been a collision, but it's not going to create a solid object. It's not going to create a platform for the player to stand on like it is doing on this guy. Instead, it's just going to send the response to the trigger event, which you can see here. It's going to send the event to the onTrigger event, and it's going to execute this script of changing the render color. So, the emissive color, I mean. So, what we can do is we can just go ahead and change this to static, if you like. And now when we jump on this platform, we are changing the color and we're not falling through. If we change it back to trigger, we are falling through. And we also have one last option, and that is dynamic. And dynamic means that you should be, it interacts with the environment. So you can push it around. So that's just a very interesting thing that I want to tell you about this brand new, well, it's not brand new, but it's in alpha mode, .Big Bang. It's something that I've known about for a while, but I wanted to refrain talking about it until it got a bit more stable and more advanced. But it's very interesting. You should definitely go check it out and maybe make some of your own projects, your own games, or build your own voxel objects. It's very cool. It's something you should keep an eye on because it's going to advance a lot in the future and have a lot more new features implemented. And I'll see you later.